looking at single leg stability training for a lot of different reasons. One, surely to improve balance and proprioception, or your ability to know where you are in space, but also to improve sports performance, even something simple like going out for a run, doing squats, or your HIIT training that you're doing at home. Whatever it might be, implementing some of these single leg training activities into your regular routine or into your HIIT routine can really optimize your workouts. So we're going to do a single leg teapot. So taking yourself onto one foot, lifting the other from the ground. We're going to reach the arms out in front of us and simply just tip forward. So you're going to notice that this knee is soft. I don't have it locked out. Goal with being is to keep both hip bones pointing toward the floor equally for this one. So we're working to stay straight, keeping the back flat. Eyes are reaching and looking toward the floor. So we're going to reach and look, hold, and then bring it back in and together. So we'll switch sides and gather your balance. Reach forward, abs tight, and we're just reaching straight back, hold, and return. Back is staying flat, abs are staying active. You should feel a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a pull as those outer hips are working to create that stability. So our next one is a single leg stance in that same tipped over position, but with an alternating reach. So we're going to find yourself on that single leg again. Notice the knee is soft, abs are pulled in, back is staying flat, and I'm coming straight down to that parallel position. And then we're working to reach alternating hands toward the floor. You'll notice my hips are moving slightly. As I reach to this side, I'm recruiting more of my outer hip, and as I reach down with my inside hand, I really have to create more medial knee stability. If this flexibility wise is too much, you can add some sort of surface underneath. A yoga block, an ottoman, whatever works for you, and you can keep the reach slightly smaller. So you're going to come down to that place, and if you were reaching less distance, it would look much the same, but it's putting the same muscles under stress and still creating that same great stability under stretch with effort. Okay, so now we're going to come to our handy dandy band. We're going to wrap it just above the knees. Always make sure that the band is never over your actual kneecaps. So we're bringing band on. It shouldn't be anything insanely tight because you still want to be able to focus on core tension and back position and position of the hips. So again, you're going to find yourself on one leg, soft knee, and you can just go ahead and reach the other foot back behind. You're going to take this slight bit of a forward lean so that abs are pulled in and your back is supported, okay? So from there, you're just going to reach back, and you can bring it in. If you need to touch in this inner space, you can to regain your balance. Otherwise, you're just going to reach and retract, reach and retract. And we'll shoot for 10. Abs stay tight. I lost count, but I think that's around 10. And then of course, you'll switch sides. So again, bring yourself into this nice set position. Toes gonna reach back behind to give you a good starting place. Hinge forward, abs are coming in, and you're reaching back, squeezing the outer tush, and then bringing it back in and together. Watch what this knee, foot, and hip are doing. You want to keep the hip to the knee, to the foot, all in a straight line. Make sure that you're not allowing the knee to come in, or that you're not rotating and opening to create this pressure against the band. It's surely an outer hip movement. with no arching in the back, okay? Perfect. Okay, this one requires a little bit of a prop, so I just have a small yoga block here. Any amount of a stair or a step or any sort of platform that'll give you a little bit of a height deficit is perfect. So we're gonna bring one foot up onto the block. You're gonna get your hips so that they're level. So I'm gonna keep my hands here right at the crests of my pelvis. So as I bring the foot down, I'm keeping these equal. I'm keeping my knee in line with my toe, in line with my hip, and then rising back to the top just the same way. So we're coming straight down and straight up. Primary amount of force should be felt here in the medial side of the knee, as well as that glute medius region right in the outer butt. So things to avoid are reaching down and letting your pelvis shift. You can see that, right? So that's more of a hip hike. That's not what we're working on today. So make sure the knee is bending, hips are staying equal, and rise back up. The other big thing, the other tendency that folks tend to do is letting the arch of your foot collapse, as well as letting the knee fall in. So we don't want to see this type of motion either. So number one is keeping that arch lifted nice and strong. Keep the knee pushed out and make sure that you're engaging that outer hip to make this motion happen. Okay, great. So now we're gonna move out of this center line. So again, we're gonna find ourselves on one leg. This is a single leg squat clock. So we're gonna find yourself on one leg, and throughout, as you're reaching, the knee's only gonna bend to about 30 to 40 degrees, and you'll come up between each one. So with each motion, the knee is bending. So you're picking places on the clock. So we're gonna look at having a 12 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, a 4-ish, a 7-ish, and then a 9 o'clock, okay? So we're just picking 5 to 6 spots on the floor. Don't necessarily worry so much about the time. So find yourself in a soft knee, mini squat, and reach out to whatever spot on the clock is out in front of you. And you'll come back to center, reach out at the angles, and then across center. And then you'll come back through. You can touch in the middle if you need to. Again, key points is that we're keeping hip, knee, foot all in line. Your arch is strong and lifted on your stability leg. The knee is tracking toward the toe. Abs are pulled in, okay? I'm gonna switch feet here. We're gonna do the same thing. So you're reaching out. Again, as you reach out, you wanna keep the weight back toward your heel or in the midfoot. You don't wanna shift onto the toes as you're reaching forward, and then that, because it just turns it into more of a knee exercise. So as you reach, you're sitting back, weight staying in the midfoot, as to work on ensuring that the glute medius is what's taking the pressure and the quads rather than your joint structure. Okay, so we'll go through it again. Nice soft knee. You're gonna reach forward, side, side, somewhere in the back, cross center. Then we're gonna come forward and cross midline. To progress this, which that might feel plenty hard, and if your balance is doing solid, you can sit down in more of an isometric place here and just have your points out here without coming back to center. In some ways, you'll find this more challenging. In others, you're not doing that same repetition, so you might find it easier. Either way, make your way around the clock and back on both sides. Most of the pressure should be felt glutes, quads and inner thighs, and a lot of footwork. Single leg, airplane, reach and twist. All right, so we're gonna find yourself on one leg again, soft knee. Arms are gonna be out wide and to the side this time. So with this one, we're gonna teapot forward or just tip forward so eyes are facing straight toward the floor again. Again, we're finding our hips starting in neutral, hip, knee to toe, all lined up. Arms are gonna reach out to the side. So with this, we're working on internal and external rotation of the hip. So you're gonna airplane down the best you can, and then find your way back to the center. And then you're gonna airplane down the other way. Again, keep that knee out. My arch is wanting to collapse, so I gotta hold it, hold it, hold it, and only go as far as you can stabilize through. And then we're gonna return back to center. So you may find a couple of props for this initially. So if a yoga block is tall enough, stable enough, you might find yourself there. So with that, you can simply take yourself out into your airplane, and as you reach, you find yourself at least a stability point so that you can pause for a moment if you need to regain yourself. And then coming back through center, and then rotating down around again, you can pause for a moment, and then center yourself back. This is a ton of work in the foot. So if you are struggling with any sort of plantar fascia pain, along with fascial restrictions in any pathway along the leg, this is a great exercise to implement. It is hard, but it's such good core work. It really opens through the chest and feels amazing through the hips after you get that nice stretch under stress.